So Vibhishan's been coronated as the king, and he comes bringing a whole airplane full of jewels and clothes and all of that as an offering to Ramchandraji. And Ramchandraji distributes it all to all the Vanaras and the Asuras. And so at this point, there's no distinction that he gave only the Vanaras. At this point, he gives the Asuras as well. And then they ready to leave. And actually, this story is very well known. Them going back to Ayodhya. One version of this story is very well known. Them going back to Ayodhya, because we celebrate Diwali, right? The day he killed Ravana is celebrated as Vijay Dashami, which is the 10th day after the 9 days of Navratri. And then usually something like 2 weeks after is Diwali, because he has returned. And in that time frame, then there was time for him to do everything that is described in the Tulsi Ramayana. So in Tulsi Ramayana, they're going back, they say bye to everyone in Lanka, and it's all very nicely, properly. And some of the Asuras say, don't go. And then, okay, you come with us. And so really the contingency going back with Ramchandraji kind of really grew and grew and grew, because none of the monkeys wanted to go back. And then the Asuras didn't want to leave Ramchandraji. And so all of them now following back. And then, so he goes back to the ashrams where he has visited. They go back to Chitrakoot, they go back to Agastya Muni, they go back to, it's kind of like wine, like closing all the loose ends. You saw us going, now see us coming back, and thank you for the advice you gave, or we had said we would see you again, so we've seen you again. And so fulfilling all those promises along the way till they get to the boatman, and then he carries them back, and then even goes back to Guha, the friend in the forest. And, you hosted us when we were leaving, and now it's a happy journey. We are on our way back. And then they also all join. The Rishimunis from the ashram don't join, but Guha and then, because, it's just, we'll also take you. It's just there. Come. And so then there's this humongous troop that end up, and that's the story we know, right? That they reach Ayodhya, and Hanumanji goes ahead, and Bharatji is praying, Ram, doing japa. And Hanumanji starts, just similar to how when he told the story of Ramayana to Sitaji to prove that he's a messenger of Ram. This time slightly different, but similarly, he starts singing. The one whose name you are chanting is coming. The one who is the greatest god of the Raghuvanshi is coming with his beloved Sita and Lakshman. The one who you have been waiting for so many years, he's already at your border. And so Bharat is, of course, excited, so thrilled. And he opens his eyes and who are you? How do you know this? And when he says Ramadota, but it just hugs him. He didn't even get to say Hanumanji, just hugs. You Ram's Dut? Okay. You servant of Ram, I'm also servant of Ram. There's this immediate. And in this version, there isn't the story of Bharat guarding and shooting down and all of that. Because remember, there's so many different, I don't remember that story. Remember when he was getting the Sanjeevani mountain, and then when Hanumanji was flying back. So, that even here, there's most people think he went and he flew back, but I think I've already mentioned it. Hanumanji goes to the Himalayas, brings the Sanjeevani mountain, and then Ramchandraji says, go put it back. So he flies and he puts it back. And then I think they need it again, so he goes again. So something like quite a few trips he does. So in one of those trips, there's this one small, tiny, arrogant thought of, look how much I am doing. It's this mind of ours is so sneaky. And usually we never hear this, right? Usually Hanumanji is but there's few. There's one or two stories where, because nobody gets saved, right? I think I said this in another class recently. Paramahamsa Ji said that the mind is made up of desire, anger, greed, delusion, pride, jealousy, attachment. Like that's what the mind is made up of. Because if you see Gurudev's chart also, mind feels emotions. So it's going to be all these emotions that we feel. And so nobody has escaped from a thought. Just, like how you have this beautiful garden that's so well kept, and then ting, one weed comes. And it's small, but you have to pull it out, right? And then and just like you're somebody who's a clean freak, and they clean and they clean, and then ting. Like, something will drop, something will fall. And so in our mind too, one thought will come, and it's how quickly it goes. That's the test. That it never comes is like Treta Yuga purity. That in so many of their minds, the thought just won't come on you. Like lust just doesn't come in Lakshman's mind. Like, wow, that's next level. But in Kali Yuga, it's going to come because it's Kali Yuga only. And our minds are not that pure. So the minute it comes, ding, then that take away straight away. Gone. Yeah. So Hanumanji was flying back after carrying the mountain, and that one thought, see how much I'm doing. Or whatever the thought would have been, like, nobody else got this job. Only I can do this job. Maybe that was the thought. And, like Ram said to Hanumanji, I love you more than Bharat. Or I love you as much as Bharat. So maybe, I don't know, maybe thought came, he loves me more than Lakshman. Because, even Lakshman didn't feature in the, whatever thought came. Like, that's the foolishness of our mind. It will be some silly random thought, some pride came. And at that moment, he was passing Ayodhya, and Bharat was watch to protect Ayodhya. And something flying in the sky with a mountain, like a little bit. And so Bharat shoots, and Hanumanji falls. And so they meet then. And then he says, what are you doing? And he says, Ramaduta me Hanuman. And then they have this whole conversation and take the mountain, go quickly, because he's told the whole story. But so in that story, they've already met. But here in this version, that hasn't happened. And he's meeting Ramchandraji for the first, Bharat is meeting Hanumanji for the first time, and there's this immediate love. But even in that story, when they meet, there's this immediate love. I had told that story before, but it's okay. New people every class. And then they light all the lamps all the way to the palace, and then Diwali, because he comes and all the lamps are lit and to receive him, and they singing and they celebrating and they throwing flower petals. And that's the version that I think is the most popularly known. And as per the time frame, that sounds about right, because they had 2 weeks to be able to do this whole journey. And they had an airplane. So they would go and then land and then go and then land. Because on foot, this might have taken a bit longer. The other version that we've heard is that they were already late. And so everyone gets put into the Pushpak Viman, and they rushing to Ayodhya, but they think they're not going to reach on time. And so Hanumanji goes ahead, and Bharat has built the fire, because he had made a vow that if you don't come back within 14 years, then I will enter into fire. And he's already built the fire, because 14 years are finished, and this is the next day, and he has waited, and he knew Ramchandraji was going to do something like this. So he made the vow to make sure, and then Hanumanji lands, like, totally dramatic Bollywood style. Stop! He's coming! Don't go into the fire! And they arrive very soon after, because they're in the Pushpak Viman. So it also goes as fast, but Hanumanji goes faster. And so the coronation is celebrated as much as when Ramchandraji is born. So they've gotten back to Ayodhya, and there's so much joy, so much joy. Gosh, there's pages and pages of how they met everyone. Like when Ramchandraji met Bharat, then Shatrughan, then Mother Kaushalya, and in one version it says that Ramchandraji just duplicated himself and met everyone at the same time because everybody was so eager. Like my turn, I have to meet, and then he didn't want to you first and you first and you first. So he just met them all at the same time, like all the three mothers and um, um, the brothers. But that version, then you're already showing that Ramchandraji is God. Otherwise, that version is usually he that so much joy. And then there's this incredible relief that he's back. And then the coronation is. So Bharat hasn't sat on the throne for this entire time. These 14 years, Bharat hasn't sat on the throne. And it's been kept. So Bharat's cleaned it now on the day of the coronation, ready for Ramchandraji to sit on. And the coronation is, of course, there's a very big puja. And so Sage Vashishta comes and they do this big puja. And then after it's all over, because like agenda, you finish that first, but its heart was palpitating. It has to get done. It has to get done. Kingdom's yours, kingdom's yours, kingdom. So we know it's done. Now Bharat's at peace. Ramchandraji is the king. Then Ramchandraji is introducing now because they, these Rakshasas have suddenly appeared and all these Vanaras have suddenly appeared. And like everybody is all, like, we know. One new person in the room. Who's that? So then Ramchandraji is introducing, this is Mother Kaushalya. And of course, she's so happy to hear that they helped him in the war and then, that treats them like her sons. And then they also behave like children in front of her because she's Maya. And so very small, so cute incidences. And then he introduces them first, before anyone else, he introduces them to Sage Vashishta and he says, bow down to my Guru. And without Guru's grace, nothing is possible. And that line gets quoted very often. And, like a lot of the things that happen here in Uttarakhand gets quoted in terms of how to live your life because Ram Raja is described and Ramchandraji's advice is described and things like in this incident when he's telling the Vanaras and the Rakshasas, this is my Guru and bow down. And without Guru's grace, nothing is possible. Of course, he says this to Dashrath Maharaj also after the battle is over. If you all remember last week when Dashrath Maharaj's soul comes, he says, it's your punya by which we've. But even that Dashrath Maharaj knows, like this is Ramchandraji being a good son. Here when he also attributes all his success during the war and his strength to be able to defeat Ravana to Guru's grace. So whether it's his father or the Guru, this idea, we don't keep it with us. Like whatever success we get, of course we did, and not to have low self-esteem or anything, but don't keep it with you. Because when we keep it with you, like pride can creep in so quickly in anyone's heart. Yeah, so better to keep reminding ourselves that we have grace, we have the blessings and punya of so many other people also supporting us. Yeah. Because this is the other thing, there's that song. And when I used to first join the ashram, then I had wanted to listen to bhajans. In those days, they were audio cassettes. Really shows how old I am, man. And then our house, we weren't that religious. So raided mom's collection and came up with this one bhajan cassette that she owned. And I think it was Janjit. That's Sukha mein sab saath mein. You all sing it, no? And the reason I can't sing it is because he sings it so slow. Dukha mein. No, that's Sukha mein sab saath. And then the duk, you can really feel the duk. Koi nahi, like nobody is with you in duk. But in Sukh, everyone's with you, right? And that bhajan used to play on repeat in my car because I didn't have any other bhajans. Poor me, I was so deprived. Only this one Dukhi bhajan. But the thing is, in sorrow, when nobody else is with us, or sometimes, and actually we're very blessed, many times, many people are with us in sorrow. But the nature of sorrow is such that you feel alone, even though people are with you, even though people are supporting you. And even though they might be physically next to you, the nature of sorrow is you feel alone. And so then you can only hold on to Bhagwan's feet. And so during suffering, our connection to Bhagwan is very strong because necessity. I need to hold on to that connection for me to feel like I have strength and I can get through this horrible phase. And so, in a way, we're blessed. But Sukha mein sabasati, and joy when everybody is with us, so easy to forget Bhagwan. Because things are going well, and then that touch wood. All good, touch wood, touch wood. Why? Why we do that? Like, because sorrow shouldn't come. Like, please don't bother touching wood. Sorrow is going to come. But actually, the reason we touch wood is because it absorbs without duplicating energy. Whereas everything else holds energy, whereas wood diffuses energy. So if you actually are very anxious, it will diffuse energy. Earth, right? Earth absorbs. But that's a digression. So when we get success, when we are surrounded by people, the way to keep the connection to Bhagwan is this memory that there's grace allowing this joy to be there. And other people's punya is there, not my own punya. Our parents do so much punya. Our grandparents do so much punya. You see all these trust fund babies, and then they live these such incredible, comfortable lives. Parents' punya, not their punya, that they born into that. Not necessarily that that's a better life, but we perceive it as. And so it's punya only. And comfort is punya. And not being in need, definitely you enjoying punya. And sometimes we don't even know whose punya it is that we're benefiting from. So many Santa Mahatmas meditating quietly somewhere, adding to the collective energy. We don't even know. No. So many pockets of groups of people doing their worship, doing their seva, doing their commitments. Like, we're not the only ones. So many, right? So that connection to Bhagwan stays if we keep this in mind. That all good things are coming to us because of grace and so many people's punya, not just my punya. Because otherwise it's so easy to think, I did, I deserve. And this feeling of I deserve is very dangerous, very, very, very dangerous. And I don't have to explain it because today we talk about entitlement so much and they're so annoying because they're so entitled. But if we'll only feel entitled if we feel I deserve. Whereas if there's so many other people's punya and I'm benefiting from it, there's no sense of entitlement. There'll be only gratitude. And so connection to Bhagwan stays. And so Ram Raja is described extensively in pretty much every Ramayana about what makes Ram Raja Ram Raja. And that's all, a lot of it we can use in terms of following Dharma, but the times have definitely changed. So I'm going to focus more on the story in the next bit of the Ramayana. So having established Ram Raja and now Ramchandraji is ruling, then there's this cute incident where, as everybody was leaving, so Ramchandraji didn't say, now go, because it's very rude, no, for a host to say, now go. I'm saying that because I say to you all the time, now go. Terrible host I am. But Ramchandraji, of course, is a great host, and he won't tell you all, now go. But of course, the Rakshasas have jobs to do in their own cities. And they, the Vanaras also have to go back to their cities. And so, not that he's burdened by having them in Ayodhya, it's just that everybody has responsibilities to get back to. And so, I had gone once to it was actually a satsang. There was this panel of speakers, and I was invited onto the panel of speakers, and they had all come from India, all the different speakers. And then this gentleman was introducing the event, something, and he wasn't the most eloquent speaker, huh? And so about after 5 minutes of him talking, somebody started clapping. And then the whole hall started clapping. And I thought, what's going on? The person next to me said, that's the crowd's way of telling him to stop. So mean and rude, no? Like, we've clapped, it's over now, stop talking. And I wonder if this is similar, because what Ramchandraji was doing, not quite rude, but he'd give gifts. And he gave so many gifts to all the Rakshasas. It's kind of like, when you're leaving, this is your gift. He did say also, I'm sure you all have responsibilities, and he'd give gifts. And so Sugriva was noticing everybody got given a gift and pretty much got told, now you go home and do your responsibility. But Hanumanji never received anything. So Sugriva goes to Hanumanji, because so far Hanumanji has been Sugriva's minister, right? Although since Ramchandraji's come, he's been doing Ramchandraji's work, but he's still technically Sugriva's minister. So Sugriva says to him, now your job is to look after Ramchandraji. You don't have to come back with me, which is so nice. Which is really so nice for Sugriva to have that. But there's also another story, and this is not in a Ramayana. This is folktale. And it's so different to any of the other stories I've ever heard about Hanumanji. Therefore, I'm saying it, because otherwise you'll all know all Hanumanji stories. So everyone's getting a gift and getting told goodbye. And Hanumanji is thinking, what about me? And the next person gets, and Ramchandraji gave everyone gifts, like just about everyone. And then Hanumanji is still thinking, what about me? And so finally Sitaji notices that Hanumanji is feeling bad and looks at Ramchandraji and says, no, what about Hanumanji? You're not giving him anything. And Ramchandraji looks at Hanumanji and says, he won't get a gift. There's no gift for him. And then he really starts crying. I know, it's like no other Hanuman story. And then Sitaji says, okay, never mind, he's not giving you a gift. Come, I'll give you a gift. And she takes out her pearl necklace. And you're all thinking, oh, I know what's going to happen next. No, y'all don't. So he thinks, like, I don't want some consolation prize. Like, this is like more annoying. It was better off when I didn't have anything. And he breaks the necklace. And all the beads fall on the ground. And they all start chanting, Ram, 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 Ram. And then when Hanumanji realizes that every bead is chanting Ram, he runs to pick them up. Because it's Ram's name, and they roll further away from him and further away from him and he's not able to collect them. And now he's feeling miserable that she gave him such an amazing gift. It wasn't just a pearl necklace, and he broke it, and he is crying, and he's apologizing, and he's begging for forgiveness. And then Chinmaya says to him, did you notice? Did I get a gift? And then he thinks, oh, yeah, no. Did Lakshman get a gift? No, he's only giving gifts to visitors. To his own people, he's not giving anything. Like, why are you crying and feeling bad? You're thinking he loves more if he gives gifts, but he actually loves more if he doesn't give you. And so, of course, usually Hanumanji's security and Ramchandraji's love is famous, but in the story, it's cute. Right? Like I said, children, sometimes we go through these different moods in our mind. And that Ramchandraji has said in Ramayana proper. This is a folk tale, but in Ramayana proper, Ramchandraji has said to Hanuman, to you I give myself, because nothing else can be given to you. And I can't give you anything because I remain forever indebted. Because Hanumanji saved Lakshman, saved Sitaji, saved Bharat, like this, saved Ramchandraji himself during the war so many times. Like there's nothing you can possibly give. So now Hanumanji stays back. Everyone else leaves, and Hanumanji stays back in Ayodhya, serving Ramchandraji. And then the coronation picture is what's considered to be the most auspicious picture of Ramchandraji, which is what we have at the back. Sometimes you'll see it with even Bharat and all of them in there, but more than the 4 of them should be there. For it to be considered an auspicious picture of Ramchandraji, Sitaji has to be there, Lakshmanaji has to be, and Hanumanji. And usually it will be Hanumanji sitting in the front like that. And I know today with modern art, and you want it to look aesthetic, and they want Ramchandraji to look like one hero, and so they usually the pictures are like. But in terms of us, and those are also great. Anything that reminds us of Bhagwan is great. But here, we'll understand why soon when I explain the next bit. It's because there's so many, like divinity, but there's the seva bhav is also there. The devotion is also there. The commitment is all, the loyalty is there, right? So when you see all of them together, it's the whole story. And each one's virtues, which are so beautiful. And then we come to this horrible part of the story where Ramchandraji sends Sitaji away. Now, again here, many different versions of how it happens. The nicest version. Should I do that last? No, we'll do it first. The nicest version is Sitaji falls pregnant. And Ramchandraji promises her, I'll give you whatever you'd wish for. And she says, I want to go back to the forest. We were so much happier there in the forest, just you and me, and spending time and nature and beauty. Here, there's so many servants, and you have to keep going to the court, and we have to get so dressed up every day, and there's so much. Forest was so peaceful, free. And then this report of what the Dhobi said comes, that he says to his own wife, I cannot accept you like Ramchandraji accepted Sita after she has been with another man. There was no maybe there. Right? It was 100% that he was convinced that she was with another man. Right? And so Raja Dharma, the duty of a king to uphold morality. And so she had wished just the day before to go to forest. And so 2 versions. One version, she knows what's going on. Ramchandraji doesn't want to send her. And she says, send me. You have to. When you've done everything right so far, now don't stop. Second version, she doesn't know. And Ramchandraji calls Lakshman, tells her to take her into the forest. She thinks she asked. So she gets into the carriage. She says, when is Ramji coming to join us? And Lakshman starts crying, tells her, and then she's absolutely horrendously devastated. Yeah, that's one version. Another version, or actually quite a few versions, there's like 3-4 versions that involve Shurpanakha. And they say that because Sitaji didn't protect Shurpanakha when her nose was being deformed, then Shurpanakha kind of orchestrated this, that if she can't have Ram, nobody can have Ram, but also like spite, that you didn't defend me, so now you should also suffer. So in the you didn't defend me, you should now also suffer version, she comes after Sitaji has been exiled, and she says, like, this is the destiny of all women to suffer, which is such a horrible thing to say. Why make that the psyche of people? I don't know. But there is one version where she says it, and then there's this acceptance of destiny. Remember last week I was saying, there's this acceptance of destiny. Even Mandodari accepted. Is it the destiny of women to suffer? Well, actually, it's my eyes, the destiny of everyone to suffer is. Quota will be given. Is it the destiny for injustice? No. Can't believe injustice is destiny. Because it's very clearly written in the Vedas that where women are treated well, that family prospers. It's not always practiced, but it's written. Where they treated well, you can just see so much more joy and love in them. There's the version where Shurpanakha is spiteful. Shurpanakha goes in disguise again to Sita and says, can you draw Ravana? Like some say he looked very good. And Sitaji replies, no, I can't, because I never saw his face. I only saw his shadow. And then she says, so draw the shadow. You're a great artist, right? You should be able to infer from the shadow. And Sitaji is drawing it, thinking, can I do this? More from a point of view of skill of art. And Ramchandraji walks in, recognizing that she's drawing Ravana. And then this gossip news had also come, and therefore he sends her. Now, which version's right? Like I said last week, we don't know which version is right. We do know that nobody likes this decision. Please know, including me. I don't think there's anybody that can actually like that this has happened. Yeah. And then I've read so many reasons of why it had to be done. Really, I promise you. There are so many reasons of why it has to be done. But none of them appease when you just feel pain for Sitaji. No reason is going to appease. So I'm not even going to try and justify why it was done. One reason was even that to show people that nobody is perfect. There has to be some black mark. And this is his black mark. Is that good enough a reason? Maybe, maybe not. Some people may be appeased by that. Some people may not be appeased by that. So what gives me peace? I will tell you all. And if you all like it, you'll keep it. If you all don't like it, you'll stay angry. So staying angry with Bhagwan is fine, right? But be angry at him. Huh? Make sure you stay with Ramchandraji. But don't get angry with everyone else. Ramchandraji represents Paramatma. Sitaji represents Jivatma. Right? Jivatma is me and you, small entity. Paramatma is infinitude. Lakshman represented Vairagya and Hanumanji represents Guru. That same Amsha of Paramatma that comes in front of us to give us helps us go back to Paramatma. Guru comes to help Jivatma go back to Paramatma. So now what was Jivatma? Me, being limited. Me being limited, not so bad, I'm still with Ramchandraji. Me being limited, some desire comes into my head. Attention goes away from Paramatma to desire. Desire is hopping, skipping, jumping, golden, shining. And then mind goes with desire, hopping, skipping, jumping, away from Paramatma. Then worse, we ask Paramatma to help us fulfill the desire. Sitaji asked Ramchandraji only to go get the deer for her. But we're doing the same. Help me get job, help me get better, help me get married, help me have children, help me get promotion, help me have everything, anything in there. We are doing the same. So we employ Paramatma to work for us to fulfill desire that made us turn away from Paramatma, jumping, skipping in the world. Then, since we only send Paramatma off to do our desire work, ego comes and nicely catches us. Ravana is ego. Now 10 heads, 10 desires. So much anger, so much jealousy, so much guilt, so much regret, so much fear, so much greed, so much me. Because remember what exists in the mind? What emotions exist in the mind? Desire, anger, greed, jealousy, pride, and attachments. So now I send Paramatma off, then I'm left with all these emotions. Getting tossed from one to the other, tossed to one to the other, one to the other. Fortunately, Guru comes. Mooda mate. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Saying Ramchandraji, saying, okay, Bhaja Ramchandraji, Bhaja Ramchandraji. Okay, so now Jivatma's mind has turned back to Paramatma. Because Sitaji is sitting in Ashoka Vatika, japifying Ramchandraji's name. With every breath, she's thinking of Ramchandraji. She has mumukshutvam, if you all remember in Vedanta, right? All of you all remember? It's that yearning to go back to Paramatma. Yearning wasn't there when she had Paramatma. When she had Paramatma, yearning was for desires. Now desires took us so far away, now only yearning for Paramatma. Then reunited. War is over between ego and all the sattvic qualities, all the tamasic and rajasic qualities. War finished happened, mind is cleansed, they are reunited. Once Jivatma is reunited with Paramatma, Jivatma no longer exists. Right? When drop of ocean, when drop of water falls into ocean, drop of water no longer exists. So then how can Sitaji stay? You all look so shocked. What is Sitaji? But Jivatma has been united into Paramatma. So now, why would Jivatma be there? Which is why she cannot stay. Because now there's only Paramatma. At the point of moksha, there's only Paramatma. Otherwise, they haven't joined. They haven't merged. So in story form, She's sent away, and only Ramchandraji is there. Yeah. In story form, it's very sad romance. But if you think of the most epic romances, they don't end up together. Right? Because familiarity breeds contempt. And the romance is the finding. So maybe from a story point of view also, she couldn't stay. From a Vedantic point of view, she no longer exists. Only Ramchandraji exists. From a story point of view, it's very upsetting. From a Vedantic point of view, it's very reassuring. Because after I merge, I don't want to come back and then be separated again, and then merge and then come back and be separated again. Okay, so now let's go back to story point of view. In the stories of Radha and Krishna, Krishna leaves Vrindavan. He doesn't ever see Radha again. At age 16, he goes. He doesn't see. Even though they romance again, we don't hold it against Krishna. That how dare you leave Radha? In Ramayana, the anger comes because of these dialogues. Which dialogues? The Shurpana's dialogue of that the destiny of women is to suffer. If it weren't for these dialogues, it wouldn't cause so much anger. It's because it gets used as a way to keep women suppressed, that it brings about a sense of injustice. And so when we are listening to it also, we have to separate emotion, because Radha never got upset. And we also don't get upset with Krishna because he never went back to Radha. Right? It's the sense of injustice that doesn't sit well with us. Like, good actions deserve good results. She was good. And the result is not good. From this point of view, we don't know that. Right? I've heard it being said that imagine if there's gossip about you. Sometimes people don't have to imagine because many of us have been gossiped about. And then you have to stay there and keep hearing it and keep hearing it and keep hearing it. Like if you've done good, the result should be good. But to have stayed there and to keep hearing it, maybe was the more painful option. Yeah. I've also heard it being said that if the Lava and Kush were born in the palace and they had to constantly hear this about Sitaji, like as children growing up to hear anything about your mother would leave such a horrible, it would change the way that they grew up. Right? Like that bitterness that they would have had for the position they held would have been so much more immense if they had to grow up constantly hearing this. Yeah. And so they grew up so happily. Lava and Kush were doted on by everyone in the ashram. They played in the forest. They had Sitaji's attention all to themselves. Right? And Sitaji got to do that. I'm not justifying, okay? I'm just telling you things I've heard, which somewhat makes sense to me. Like, as a mother, so many working mothers, and then they feel so torn. And then as a queen, she would have had to do so many other things. But here, she also got to just be with them. Was it injustice? I actually honestly don't know. Even somebody asked me about this recent Sindoor campaign that went on in India, right? India, Pakistan, and then it's ongoing. India, Pakistan is ongoing. Right? Like, okay, retaliate, but it should be proportionate. And I'm like, now how to know what's proportionate retaliation? Like, how do I know that? Like, what do I count how many people got killed and then kill exactly that many? What's proportionate retaliation? Like, how do we even quantify such a thing? And then they had lots of arguments on how we can quantify it. And then, is it right? I honestly don't know. Like, what's the truth? In samsara, nothing so clear. Like, we're living in Maya here. And you do the best you can with being the most dharmic we possibly can be in this environment, in this situation. Right? And then surrender that there's a higher source that knows better than me. And Sitaji did that. Like, people are so quick to blame because she said that to Lakshman, because she said that to Shurpanakha, and I just narrated that example now. Like, how we know how many things she did right versus how many things she did wrong? We don't know so many bits of the story, right? But definitely Sitaji did the very best she could at any given moment in time. And so then she can only now surrender. There's a higher intelligence, cause, purpose that has to be served. And this we have to admire about Sitaji. She embraced it. Wherever she found herself, she embraced it. Princess of Mithila, spoiled, pampered. Janak Maharaj doted on her. Princess of Ayodhya, to be made queen. Next day, go to forest. She embraced it. She went to forest. And then kidnapped. I mean, you can't embrace being kidnapped, but she embraced her loyalty and determination to stay single-pointedly focused on Ramchandraji. And Hanumanji gave her an out, but she embraced that if this is what has to be done, this is what has to be done. And she didn't just say, yes, Hanumanji, just take me away. I cannot suffer anymore. No, if I have to be here, if that's what has to be done, then I'm here. And go back to Ayodhya, embraced. Queen of Ayodhya. Exiled, even there, she brought up love and Kush so beautifully. She lived in the ashram with the qualities of an ashramite. No longer the qualities of a queen. When she had to be the queen, qualities of a queen. When she was in the ashram, qualities of ashram. And like justice, injustice, I don't know, but we can definitely learn a lot from Sitaji's grace and ability to stay true to who she is and what was needed from her in that moment. Justice, injustice, I don't know, but this I do know. Who are we to fault Ram? And in terms of all that happens in the world, like because this is Maya, just so much happens. If we're going to zoom in on this one thing to fault all his goodness, there's that saying, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It's just like there's so much good in Ramchandra. And in so many versions of even sending Sitaji away, it wasn't that he wanted to. It was the good of the greater versus the good of the reserve. And this also we can know about Ramchandraji. In no version of the Ramayana does he look at another woman. His heart stays with Sitaji. Like in some Ramayans, like the one where Shurpanaka tricked her to paint a picture of Ravana, it almost sounds like Ramchandraji sent her away out of jealousy and doubt. That's only one Ramayana. There's many others where he is crying more than her. Like, don't go. But in no version of the Ramayana does he stop loving her. Does he ever look at any? That needs to be taken into account when we think of his personality and his character and his ability to love his wife and to appreciate her. So Dharma changes also, like the ability of people to adhere to something. You might have seen, I get these all the time. I must have watched one or two, and so now they'll do this thing about the first child and how well the first child behaves, puts everything away, puts shoes neatly, keeps everything tidy, toys all can be passed down to second child. Then second child is a bit more carefree, bindas, doesn't put anything away. Few things break, few things don't break, but still more or less can get through the day. Third child sits, demands. Puts hand out, you have to put food in that hand. Puts leg out. Literally, I've seen this. They put their leg out and somebody puts their shoe on for them. And this is when they're already much, much older. Standards change, right? Like even in just one household over a period of time, like Dharma meant every child should be doing same thing. But standards change. And standards from Traitya Yuga have definitely changed to Kali. In Traitya Yuga, to do duty was given far more importance. In today's world, we give more importance of, I have to do this because then I'll have my peace of mind. And so I've heard people say this to me, I need to break this marriage and I can't be with this person anymore, just so that I can, we need to love ourselves before we can love anyone else. Literally, they'll say those words to me. I won't be able to stay peaceful if I stay there. And it can be about marriage, it can be about a friend, it can be about so many things. The need to make something work has declined. The need to do what is right has declined. The need to put other people above us has declined. Even in marriage situation, if you tell them, but for the kids' sake, no, it's worse for the kids to see us fighting. So then don't fight for their sake. That's the point, right? But no. Solution is we will fight. So for their sake now, we're divorcing so they don't see us fight. Like the thinking has become so different. some people might get upset. They're upset that. Sorry. But things have changed. In Treta Yuga, the need to do what is right, the need to put greater good or other people's welfare was so much higher. And so it's so much harder for us to understand what Ramchandraji did. Because we think about it from what we value now and what we consider to be normal now. So, Sitaji was exiled. And from a bhakti point of view, the reason given is because yearning is always stronger when we far away. Yeah. That's why Radha wasn't with Krishna. That's why Sita is not with him. Yeah. The yearning is always more when we far away. Only Parvati ji got her Shivji. Otherwise, no one else, if you think about it. She was sent away? Sati, she sent herself away. She had to take birth as a fisherwoman. Correct. She did get sent away. Okay. Any questions? So we will finish next week. Love and Kush will finish next week. And then the week after that, Bhagavatam starts. Questions? No. If you don't like that she got sent away, even I don't like it.
That image is only a very short period of time that we are supposed to look at as to find all the virtues within it. It's for a very short time.
So from a Vedantic point of view, no, that image is truth.
Oh.
Yeah. From a Vedantic point of view, she's merged back into him. Right? That's why I said Jivatma merges back into Paramatma. So you don't need Jivatma there now. Paramatma alone is there. Everything's in him. So Lakshman is Vairagya. Lakshman is in Paramatma. Sita is Bhakti or Jivatma is in Paramatma. Hanumanji is Seva or it's in Paramatma. So actually the image of that four that's considered the most auspicious is the truth that's eternal. They always together. Bhakti is always with happiness. Seva is always with happiness.
The story of her leaving is to signify.
The story of her leaving, so Ramayana is considered itihasa, which means it was history, which was factual happening. And so it happened. It's not philosophy, right? But the philosophy of what she represents, Jivatma can't remain. Yeah. But history is she got sent away. Although many Ramayans stop at that picture. Many, Like there's something like at least 30 Ramayans. Then at least something like 15 stop at that picture. They don't talk about her going.
I have a question. Sorry, I just came back. Maybe this, but it's related to Ramayana.
But if I already answered it, I'm not going to answer you.
I'm sure you haven't, because it's about Love Kush. And so when Love Kush come meet the father, I'm basing my knowledge on what I've seen in the serials. So when Love Kush come meet the father for the first time, and very soon they lose the mother. So what I have thought that what a pity, because these children, they never had both together.
Yeah.
either they had mother, and by the time they meet father, their mother is gone. So is there a significance in that they never had both parents? Why do they only have one at a time?
So I did already talk about that. Jivatma becoming Paramatma in the consequence, or the children, the results is love, which translates as it does, love, and Kush, happiness. So we get true infinite love, infinite happiness when Jivatma dissolves. So only one will be there. And you must remember, you saying they had Sitaji and then they had Ramchandraji, but Sitaji is Ramchandraji because she's merged. And then Ramchandraji has both Ramchandraji and Sitaji in him because they've merged. So you don't need two. There's only one now. From Vedantic point of view. From Bhakti point of view, there'll be difference. We'll conclude. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhave, asato ma sutkamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityormamritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Shri Guru Hari